So, what does it take to build a university completely from scratch? Well, for Neesima Joe, the guy who founded Japan's Doshisha University, it wasn't really about the buildings or the books. Nope, it was all about a single, really powerful idea: conscience. We're going to dive into how that one idea basically challenged an entire system and ended up shaping the future of education in Japan. To really get how radical Nijima's whole project was, you have to picture what Japan was like back in the Meiji era. At that time, there was exactly one university in the entire country, Tokyo University, and it was what they called a Kanritsu University, which means it was founded, funded, and totally controlled by the government. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? If the government already had a university, why on earth would another one be needed? Well, a man named Neesima Joe had an answer. And his answer wasn't just about building another school. It was about changing the very future of Japan. So what was this big idea at the heart of his vision? It all boiled down to one powerful concept: ryoshin, or as we'd say, conscience. That single word, that was the engine driving his entire mission. But see, Nijima's idea of conscience was really specific. It wasn't about just, doing the right thing because you're worried about what other people think, sort of keeping up appearances. For him, true conscience was all about an internal sincerity, a commitment to doing what's right even when absolutely nobody is watching. Okay, so this is the key takeaway here. Nijima's idea of conscience is like a personal, internal moral compass. He believed that real integrity doesn't come from being accountable to your boss or your neighbors, but from a sense of accountability to some higher, unseen standard of what's true and good. It's really about being honest with yourself from the inside out. So armed with this powerful idea of conscience as his foundation, Nijima came up with a pretty radical plan to make it a reality. He decided his university was not going to be built by the state, but by the citizens themselves. And you have to understand, this was a total game changer. In an era where the government controlled pretty much everything, he was proposing a university built entirely by regular people and funded by their own donations. It was completely unheard of. This was the very first attempt at a citizen-led university in Japanese history. In fact, the school's name, Doshisha, literally means an association of people who share the same purpose. So this wasn't just Nijima's pet project. Right from the start, it was designed to be a community effort, a group of people with the same goal coming together. That name really captured the whole spirit of the movement. All right, so we get the why, to build up this idea of conscience, and we've seen the how, through a university run by the people. But what kind of education did Nijima actually think could achieve this goal? What was he going to teach? Well, Nijima looked at the schools of his time and saw a huge problem. He saw that they were fantastic at teaching facts and technical skills, but he felt they were completely ignoring the education of the heart, building a person's character and their moral foundation. And this worry led him to say something really powerful. He said, "We have no intention of producing experts without spirit or geniuses without conscience." He was afraid that creating super smart experts who didn't have a moral compass wasn't just useless, it was actually dangerous. He believed knowledge without conscience could easily be used to hurt people. The solution he came up with was a model he'd seen in America, a whole-person education, what we call liberal arts today. It was built on 3 balanced pillars: chi, which is knowledge; toku, which is virtue and morality; and tai, which is the physical body. It was about developing every part of a person, not just cramming their heads full of facts. And this quote right here, this really gets to his ultimate vision. For Nijima, a strong nation wasn't built by a few famous leaders or heroes. No, it was sustained by its citizens, an entire population of people who were educated, knowledgeable, and, most importantly, guided by a strong moral conscience. That was the foundation he wanted to build for Japan. But as incredible as Nijima's vision was, this is where the story takes a pretty tragic turn. He would never get to see his huge project fully come to life. Neesima Joe died in 1890, and he was shockingly young. He was only 46 years old. He'd founded his school, which was called Doshisha English School back then, just 15 years earlier. In his final years, he knew it. He openly said that his life's ambition was unfinished. He knew his dream of a full university dedicated to conscience was still just getting started. He was leaving behind a mission that someone else would have to carry on. And that's exactly how Doshisha University sees its job today. They believe Nijima's founding spirit isn't some old artifact to be kept in a museum. Instead, it's a living mission, but every new generation has to reinterpret and apply to their own time. Their mission is to keep working on that unfinished project he started all those years ago. When you think about it, Nijima's whole life was a quest to build something meaningful on the foundation of conscience. So the question his story kind of leaves us with is this: what are the principles that guide you? What's the foundation that you're building your life on?